This is the United States Cartoon Football League, where cartoons and football have come together since 1981.
YouTube welcomes you to the following presentation of the United States Cartoon Football League.
Well, that's a fine kettle of fish.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the USCFL Network, in association with YouTube, presents the USCFL Postgame Show. Here's once again is Robbie Graham.
Greetings, cartoon and football fans. This is Robbie Graham of the USCFL Network bringing you the action and highlights of Week 8 and the final week of Round 2 of the USCFL's 45th anniversary season. If you're joining us for the first time, may we extend to you a cordial welcome, and we hope you'll enjoy everything this channel has to offer. We also invite you to take a moment to subscribe to our channel and join our team. The USCFL is family-friendly entertainment. There is nothing in our videos parents or guardians would find offensive, so let the kids watch along with you. The USCFL is on Patreon, and for $3 a month or 10 cents a day, we can offer merchandise and special perks to help show your love and support for America's oldest fantasy football league. Now for the main attraction. Never before in the history of the USCFL, especially during the Disney Bowl format, where we had 6 games played with 6 home teams winning in a row. History could be made this week if both the Classic Cartoon All-Stars and the Cartoon Network All-Stars can manage to win their games. Did they do it? You'll know in this video. And in 1 minute, we will talk about and present the highlights of Game 15 between the defending champion 80s All-Stars and the Classic Cartoon All-Stars from San Francisco. Welcome back. The 80s All-Stars are the defending champs this year, and they got off to a bad start by losing to Nickelodeon in round 1. But against the Classic Cartoon All-Stars in San Francisco, this team, usually a basement dweller, had some surprises in store for the defending champs, and the highlights of this exciting game proved it.
Bumblebee opens the scoring for the 80s All-Stars with a 19-yard field goal to go up 3-0. Later in the quarter, Bumblebee connects again from 31 yards away, giving the defending champs a 6-0 lead. Jem finds Michelangelo on a 10-yard touchdown pass, extending the defending champs' advantage 13-0. The Classics answer quickly as Woody Woodpecker connects with Betty Boop on a 46-yard touchdown strike to trail 13-7. But the Classics stay alive as Chilly Willy scores from 1 yard away, trimming the deficit to 26-21. The defending champs regain control before halftime as Bumblebee drills a pair of field goals, his third from 23 yards. Then his fourth from 37 yards as the 80s All-Stars went into halftime, leading 19-14. Jem and Michelangelo connect again, this time from 2 yards out, extending the lead to 26-14. But the Classics stay alive as Chilly Willy scores from 1 yard away, trimming the deficit to 26-21. Early in the fourth, Sea Spray of the Transformers punches it in from 2 yards out, giving the defending champs a 33-21 lead. The Classics answer immediately as Woody Woodpecker finds Mighty Mouse on a 31-yard touchdown pass, cutting the lead to 33-28. Later in the quarter, Underdog drills a 25-yard field goal, bringing the Classics within 2:33-31. Then, with just over a minute remaining, Chilly Willy scores his 3rd touchdown of the night on a 7-yard run, giving the Classics the lead. The Classics attempted the 2-point conversion to extend the lead to 6, but the attempt failed. The Classics rally late to defeat the 80s All-Stars 37-33 and keep the round 2 home team streak alive.
And here are the stats for Game 15 between the 80s All-Stars and the Classic Cartoon All-Stars. Beginning with the 80s All-Stars, Jem finished 33 of 50 for 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. April O'Neil rushed for 210 yards on 37 carries. Quicksilver of the Silverhawks led the receivers as he caught 7 passes for 64 yards. Starscream of the Transformers led the defense with 8 tackles and 5 assists. Bumblebee finished with 15 points. For the Classics, Woody Woodpecker finished 25 of 39 for 416 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Chilly Willy, the player of the game, rushed for 104 yards on 30 carries and 3 touchdowns. Betty Boop led the receivers as she caught 8 passes for 214 yards and 1 touchdown. Gabby Gator led the defense with 8 tackles, 11 assists, and 1 fumble recovery. Underdog finished with 7 points. And in 1 minute, we will talk about and present the highlights of Game 16 and the final game of Round 2 between the DreamWorks All-Stars and the Cartoon Network All-Stars from Newark, New Jersey. Did Cartoon Network complete the winning streak, or did DreamWorks prevail? Find out in 1 minute. Welcome back. 7 games played, 7 games won by the home team. It was all up to Cartoon Network to complete the most exciting round in Disney Bowl history. They have a history in which they win in round 1, go home for round 2, and lose. Against DreamWorks in New Jersey, can they finally not only win the game, but complete the streak? Here is the highlights of this game to see if they pulled it off or not.
7 games played, 7 home teams won. Can Cartoon Network make history by being number 8? Balthazar Hellman opens the scoring for DreamWorks with a 40-yard field goal, the first of 5 in a row. Later in the quarter, Balthazar gets number 2 from 41 yards away, giving DreamWorks a 6-0 lead. Balthazar continues his incredible night, drilling number 3, a 23-yard field goal, to extend the lead to 9-0. Moments later, Balthazar gets field goal number 4 from 18 yards away. DreamWorks now leads 12-0. Then, with under 2 minutes left in the half, Balthazar stays perfect with a 46-yard field goal, pushing the lead 15-0. With under a minute left, Fiona launches a 57-yard touchdown strike to Rita Malone from flushed away, extending the DreamWorks advantage 22-0. Then, on the final play of the half, Fiona goes deep again and finds Stella from over the hedge for a stunning 63-yard touchdown. DreamWorks takes a commanding 29-0 lead into halftime. Cartoon Network finally gets on the board as Steven Universe breaks free for an 80-yard touchdown run to trail 29-7. But DreamWorks returns the favor immediately. Fiona connects with Rita Malone again, this time on an 84-yard touchdown bomb to go up 36-7. Moments later, Fiona strikes again, finding Roddy St. James from flushed away on a 50-yard touchdown pass. Her 4th of the game as DreamWorks blows the game wide open, 43-7. Cartoon Network adds a 52-yard field goal by Susan Test of Johnny Test late in the quarter to trail 43-10. DreamWorks continues the domination as Fiona scores herself on a 2-yard touchdown run, making it 50-10. Cartoon Network, from third and a mile from the parking lot, responds with a huge play of its own as Johnny Bravo connects with Buttercup of the Powerpuff Girls on a 93-yard touchdown pass, the longest of the season so far, but trailed 50-17. Later in the quarter, Balthazar Hellman caps off his remarkable night with his 6th field goal from 33 yards to go up 53-17. Susan Test adds a late 23-yard field goal for Cartoon Network, but the outcome is long decided as DreamWorks wins 53-20 for the only road game win in round 2.
And here are the stats for Game 16 between the DreamWorks All-Stars and the Cartoon Network All-Stars. Beginning with DreamWorks, Fiona was the player of the game as she finished 24 of 41 for 498 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 1 rushing touchdown. Miguel from the Road to El Dorado rushed for 172 yards on 39 carries. Rita Malone led the receivers as she caught 7 passes for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns. Gabra the Belch from How to Train Your Dragon led the defense with 8 tackles and 3 assists. Balthazar Hellman finished with 23 points. For Cartoon Network, Johnny Bravo finished 22 of 45 for 304 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Steven Universe rushed for 177 yards on 22 carries and 1 touchdown. Buttercup led the receivers as she caught 6 passes for 177 yards and 1 touchdown. The Ice King from Adventure Time led the defense with 9 tackles and 4 assists. Susan Test finished with 8 points. And in 1 minute, the USCFL will continue its new investigative series as we find out why Starscream of the Transformers was so intent on leading the Decepticons, thinking that Megatron could not. Why did this happen? Find out in 1 minute.
Slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit.
Welcome back. 2 years ago, we did a player profile on Starscream of the Transformers, in which we pointed out that as a middle linebacker, he is among the top middle linebackers in the league. Only Pocahontas of Disney and Hordak of Filmation are better, as well as doing an actual history on him, but we weren't complete with his history until now. In our new investigative series, we will explore exactly why Starscream was so intent on leading the Decepticons, thinking Megatron could not.
Why was Starscream so intent on leading the Decepticons? Few cartoon villains were as obsessed with power as Starscream from Transformers. Throughout the original Transformers series in the 1980s, Starscream constantly schemed, complained, and plotted against his own leader, Megatron. No matter how many times his plans failed, Starscream never stopped believing that he deserved to lead the Decepticons himself. Part of Starscream's obsession came from his personality. Unlike Megatron, who ruled through fear and brute force, Starscream was ambitious, arrogant, impatient, and desperate for recognition. He believed he was smarter than the other Decepticons and often saw Megatron's failures as proof that the Decepticons needed new leadership. Whenever Megatron's plans failed, Starscream viewed it as another opportunity to convince others that he should take command. However, Starscream's greatest weakness was that he wanted power more than responsibility. He loved the idea of being leader, but he rarely showed the discipline or courage needed to actually hold the position. In battle, Starscream often panicked when things turned against him. He could be manipulative and clever, but he was also cowardly and selfish. This made him dangerous as a schemer, yet unreliable as a true commander. Ironically, Megatron seemed fully aware of this. Throughout the series, Megatron repeatedly tolerated Starscream's betrayals, even though he clearly knew Starscream wanted to overthrow him. In many ways, Megatron understood that Starscream's ambition could never truly replace strength. Megatron may have even enjoyed humiliating him, constantly reminding the Decepticons who was really in charge. Starscream also represented something important within the Decepticons themselves. Unlike the Autobots, who were usually united behind Optimus Prime, the Decepticons were built around fear, ambition, and internal rivalry. Starscream embodied those weaknesses perfectly. He constantly challenged authority because Decepticon culture rewarded power and domination above loyalty. Over time, Starscream became one of the most famous traitors in cartoon history. Fans almost expected him to betray Megatron in every episode. In fact, his repeated failures became part of his charm. Even when his plans backfired, Starscream's overconfidence, dramatic personality, and endless ambition made him one of the franchise's most entertaining characters. In the end, Starscream was hell-bent on leading the Decepticons because he genuinely believed he was destined for greatness. The problem was that ambition alone was never enough. He wanted Megatron's power, but he lacked Megatron's ability to control others through fear and strength. That contradiction turned Starscream into both a dangerous villain and one of the most memorable characters in Transformers history.
In 1 minute, we will reveal the answer to last week's trivia question, this week's question, a preview of the first 2 games of Round 3, as well as the all-important schedule for Round 3. Welcome back. Now for the answer to last week's trivia question. We pointed out that in 1975, Lucky Charms cereal added the first of many marshmallow shapes. Which was the first to be added? If you guessed blue diamonds, you are correct. The next marshmallow that was added were the purple horseshoes in 1983. Since 1975, nearly 10 new marshmallow shapes have been added. Now for this week's question. The category is No Clowning Around. The degree of difficulty is All-Star. In 1963, McDonald's introduced Ronald McDonald for the first time. Compared to how he looked in later years, the original Ronald made Pennywise from It look nice. Which actor portrayed Ronald for the first time? Is the correct answer A, Bob Keeshan, B, Edgar Bergen, C, Willard Scott, or D, Johnny Carson? We will have the answer for you next week. But before we go, here is the all-important schedule for Round 3 of the USCFL's 45th anniversary season. And that will wrap things up for Week 8 and the final week of Round 2 of the USCFL's 45th anniversary season. Next week, Round 3 begins, as do the eliminations, when we will talk about and present the highlights of Game 17 between the Fox All-Stars and the DreamWorks All-Stars from Seattle, and the highlights of Game 18 between the Comic Strip All-Stars and the Classic Cartoon All-Stars from San Francisco, along with our next investigative segment and trivia question. Who will be the first 2 teams to be eliminated and participate in our new Losers Bracket competition? Find out next week. And until next Sunday, this is Robbie Graham of the USCFL Network wishing you peace. Take care and stay safe.
This has been a webcast of the United States Cartoon Football League on YouTube and is intended for the viewing and listening pleasure of our audience. All cartoons seen and music heard are copyrights of their respected owners. They were used for the purpose of entertainment and education, and therefore no breach of copyright laws were intended. This is a copyrighted feature, and any rebroadcast or re-uploading of this webcast without express written permission of the United States Cartoon Football League is prohibited.
YouTube thanks you for watching this presentation of the United States Cartoon Football League.
This has been a First and 10 production.